A billionaire saw the young maid crying on the phone in the hotel hallway. Before we continue, please remember to like, share and subscribe. The hotel hallway was dimly lit, shadows stretching along the polished floors late into the night. Elena stood silently against the cold wall, her shoulders trembling as she clutched her phone tightly to her ear. Her voice was low, speaking in her native language, a whispered conversation filled with sorrow and quiet desperation. Tears traced silent paths down her cheeks, dampening the collar of her worn uniform. The exhaustion from the day's long hours weighed heavily on her, evident in the slump of her posture and the tired set of her eyes. Around her, the world moved on, hotel guests hurried past, preoccupied with their own affairs, oblivious to the young maid's anguish. At that moment, the elevator doors slid open, and Julian Roth stepped out. His tailored suit and confident stride marked him unmistakably as a man accustomed to power and control. But as his gaze swept down the hallway, it settled on Elena. The sight of her vulnerability struck him, a stark contrast to the polished perfection he was used to in his world of wealth and influence. Curiosity piqued, and a flicker of concern softened his usual stoic expression. Julian hesitated, the weight of the moment pressing on him. In that brief pause, something shifted. A recognition that behind the uniform and the quiet tears was a story worth knowing. Elena, unaware of his watchful eyes, continued her whispered conversation, unaware that her moment of private pain was about to intersect with his carefully guarded life. This unexpected encounter, framed by the sterile elegance of the hotel corridor, set the stage for a journey neither could have anticipated. Two worlds, so different yet so close in that instant, began to converge. The quiet despair of a young maid and the silent concern of a billionaire would soon weave a story of empathy, transformation, and the power of noticing what others overlook. The soft hum of the hotel corridor was interrupted only by Elena's quiet sobs as Julian took a hesitant step forward. His polished shoes made no sound on the carpet, but the pause he created was enough to break through the barrier between their vastly different lives. Clearing his throat gently, Julian asked, his voice low and sincere, "Are you all right?" The question hung in the air, unexpected and gentle, catching Elena off guard. She stiffened, her instinct to retreat battling with the vulnerability she couldn't hide. For a moment, she considered pulling away, ashamed of her tears and the raw emotion laid bare in the quiet hallway. Yet, something in Julian's steady gaze, free from judgment and full of genuine concern, made her hesitate. Slowly, the walls she had built around herself began to crumble. Elena's voice was hesitant at first, soft and fragile as she spoke of the heavy burdens she carried. She told him about the long hours cleaning rooms, the exhaustion that seeped into her bones, and the loneliness that clung to her in this sprawling foreign city. She spoke of family waiting back home, depending on her sacrifices, and the weight of responsibility that often felt crushing. Julian listened, his usual world of business deals and opulent parties fading into the background. Here, in this simple exchange, he glimpsed a life so different from his own, a life shaped by hardship, resilience, and quiet courage. He didn't offer easy answers or empty sympathy, but his attention alone was a balm, a rare acknowledgement of her struggle. Their brief conversation became a fragile bridge between two people from opposite sides of the world. It was built not on grand gestures, but on empathy, the human connection that transcends status, language, and circumstance. Julian's curiosity grew, as did Elena's cautious hope. In that unexpected moment, the seeds of a relationship were planted, one that neither could yet understand but both would come to cherish. The hotel hallway, once just a place of passing strangers, had transformed into a space where two very different lives began to intersect. This meeting was not just a fleeting moment of kindness but the first step toward a story of transformation and unexpected friendship. The following afternoon, Elena's day began with an unexpected message from Julian, an invitation to his penthouse, framed simply as a gesture of thanks. Her heart fluttered with a mix of apprehension and curiosity. She hesitated, unsure if she was ready to step into such a foreign world, but something deep inside nudged her forward. When she arrived, the elevator doors opened to reveal a place that felt more like a palace than a home. The penthouse was bathed in soft, golden light that spilled through floor-to-ceiling windows, casting a warm glow over sumptuous furnishings and elegant artwork. The air was scented with subtle fragrances, and every detail spoke of wealth and refinement, a stark contrast to the modest halls she usually knew. Julian greeted her with a calm, genuine smile that eased her nerves. He offered her a comfortable seat near a grand window overlooking the city skyline. For a moment, the vastness of the view mirrored the gulf between their lives. But then the conversation began, and the space between them started to shrink. Julian listened intently as Elena spoke about her dreams, her hopes for a better future, the sacrifices she'd made, and the struggles that weighed on her daily. She shared pieces of her story she rarely voiced aloud. The loneliness, the resilience, and the fierce determination to carve out a better life. Julian responded not with judgment, but with empathy, asking thoughtful questions and revealing a genuine desire to understand her world beyond the walls of his penthouse. Their conversation flowed with surprising ease, revealing sides of each other that neither had expected. The boundaries of employer and employee softened, replaced by an emerging trust and respect. It became clear that Julian's interest extended beyond simple gratitude. He was drawn to Elena's spirit and courage, and perhaps, to something more profound. In this space of luxury and vulnerability, two people from very different worlds found common ground. The invitation to the penthouse was more than a thank you, it was the beginning of a connection that would challenge their assumptions and change the course of their lives forever. As days turned into weeks, Julian found himself drawn deeper into Elena's world, a world that, despite its hardships, shone with quiet strength and untapped promise. Their meetings became more than formal exchanges, they were moments of discovery, where Julian peeled back layers of his own assumptions and saw Elena not just as a maid or a symbol of charity, but as a woman of remarkable intelligence and resilience. One afternoon, as they sat together overlooking the city from the penthouse balcony, Elena spoke with a fire Julian hadn't expected. She shared her dreams, of education, of starting a business, of breaking free from the cycle that had long confined her. Her words were filled with clarity and passion, painting a vivid picture of a future she refused to accept would be out of reach. Julian listened intently, captivated by her determination and the depth of her vision. In those moments, Julian glimpsed the woman beneath the surface, someone shaped by struggle but not defined by it. Her resilience wasn't born from ease but forged in adversity. Each story she told revealed a hidden strength, a will to rise above circumstance that resonated deeply with Julian's own journey. Elena, too, began to see Julian differently. Behind the billionaire's polished exterior, she recognized a man grappling with his own burdens and doubts. His interest wasn't born out of pity or obligation but from a genuine desire to make a difference, not just in her life but in the world around them. This realization transformed their connection from a simple act of kindness into a partnership built on mutual respect and shared hope. Their relationship challenged the rigid social roles that had kept them apart. Julian no longer saw himself as the distant benefactor, and Elena no longer felt like the powerless recipient. Instead, they stood as equals, two people bound by a common belief in the power of potential and the possibility of change. In this chapter of their story, the true magic wasn't in wealth or status but in the recognition of what lay beneath. It was a reminder that real strength often hides in unexpected places and that believing in another's potential can ignite a spark powerful enough to change both their lives forever. As Julian and Elena's bond deepened, not everyone around them embraced the changes stirring between the billionaire and the young maid. Whispers floated through the grand halls of Julian's penthouse and the hotel corridors where Elena worked. Staff exchanged curious glances and hushed gossip, questioning the authenticity of their relationship. For many, the stark contrast between Julian's world of power and wealth and Elena's humble background seemed insurmountable. A clash of two lives that society wasn't ready to accept. Elena felt the weight of these unspoken judgments more acutely than anyone. Despite the encouragement Julian offered, she struggled with a gnawing self-doubt. Doubts whispered in her mind that she didn't belong in Julian's world, that she was merely an intruder, a temporary visitor in a life far beyond her reach. Her confidence faltered as she wrestled with feelings of inadequacy, unsure if she could ever truly bridge the gap between her past and this new, dazzling future. Julian, too, faced his own inner battles. The protective armor he wore as a successful businessman was slowly stripped away in Elena's presence. Vulnerability, something he had long avoided, crept into his life, stirring fears he hadn't confronted before: fear of judgment, fear of losing control, fear of opening his heart. His world of high-stakes deals and ruthless rivals suddenly felt fragile in ways he never expected. Their worlds, once so separate, now collided in ways that tested both of them. Conflicts arose, not just from external pressures, but from the internal struggles each faced. Moments of tension and uncertainty punctuated their journey, making the path ahead seem more daunting. Yet, amid the turmoil, something remarkable took shape. The challenges forced Julian and Elena to confront not only the skepticism of others but their own insecurities. Their relationship became a mirror reflecting their fears and hopes, pushing them to grow stronger individually and together. This chapter of their story was raw and emotionally charged. It revealed that transformation is never a smooth road but a journey marked by resistance, doubt, and the courage to face both. The struggles they endured were not signs of weakness but the crucible through which their connection was tempered and deepened. In the end, their story showed that true change requires more than hope, it demands resilience. It's the willingness to stand firm in the face of judgment and uncertainty, to believe in oneself and in the power of connection to overcome even the harshest obstacles. Through this struggle, Julian and Elena began to discover that love and trust can bloom in the most unlikely of places, transforming lives and breaking down walls built by fear and expectation. Julian sat across from Elena in the softly lit room of his penthouse, a quiet confidence in his voice as he laid out a new vision, one that would change both their lives forever. He spoke of a philanthropic initiative he was launching, focused on empowering women from backgrounds much like Elena's. It was more than charity, it was about creating lasting opportunities for education, skill building, and self-sufficiency in communities often overlooked and forgotten. Elena listened intently, her heart beating faster with a mix of disbelief and excitement. For the first time, she wasn't just the recipient of kindness or a passive figure in someone else's story. Julian was inviting her to become an architect of change, to bring her unique insights, experiences, and passion to the project. She saw in his offer a chance to transform not only her own life but the lives of countless women who, like her, had been waiting for a break, a hand up, a chance to prove their worth. Her eyes sparkled with renewed hope as she imagined what this could mean. No longer confined by the walls of the hotel where she had swept floors and made beds, Elena now had a seat at a table where real decisions were made. She would help design programs that taught valuable skills, provided education, and opened doors to new careers. The weight of her past struggles didn't disappear, but it transformed into fuel, a powerful drive to give back and to uplift others who walked similar paths. Julian watched her closely, impressed by her quick grasp and the fire that shone behind her cautious optimism. This was no mere gesture of goodwill, it was a true partnership built on mutual respect and trust. He recognized that Elena's strength lay not only in her resilience but also in her authenticity, qualities that could inspire change far beyond the glossy boardrooms and gala events he frequented. The room seemed to hum with possibility. As they spoke, the boundaries between employer and employee blurred further, replaced by a shared mission and a deepening connection. Elena's role shifted in that moment from a silent witness to a powerful contributor, embodying the very change the project sought to ignite. This pivotal scene captured a profound theme: empowerment born from trust, collaboration, and belief in one another. It was a reminder that true transformation doesn't come from charity alone, but from creating space for people to stand tall, lead, and rewrite their futures. Elena was no longer defined by the hardships she had endured but by the potential she now held in her hands. Together, Julian and Elena embarked on a new journey, united by a vision of hope and the promise that with the right support, even the most unlikely stories can become catalysts for meaningful change. This moment marked not just a new chapter in their lives but the beginning of a movement to uplift women everywhere, turning dreams into reality through shared purpose and unwavering determination. The grand ballroom shimmered with crystal chandeliers casting a warm glow over the gathered crowd. Tonight marked the official launch of the philanthropic initiative co-founded by Julian Roth and Elena, a project dedicated to empowering women from underserved communities. Elena stood beside Julian on the stage, no longer just a maid from a hotel hallway, but a confident and poised leader in her own right. The transformation in her was undeniable. Her eyes sparkled with pride, her posture radiated strength, and her voice carried the quiet authority of someone who had found her purpose. The event buzzed with excitement as supporters, dignitaries, and media gathered to celebrate the partnership that had blossomed from an unlikely beginning. Julian, dressed impeccably as always, introduced Elena to the audience not just as a partner, but as the heart and soul of their shared mission. As Elena spoke passionately about the program's goals, providing education, vocational training, and opportunities for women who had faced hardships, there was a palpable sense of hope in the room. Their journey was extraordinary. From a late-night encounter in a dim hotel hallway, where a billionaire noticed a young maid silently crying on her phone, to standing side by side at this glamorous gala, they had rewritten the narratives of both their lives. What began as a simple act of noticing had evolved into a powerful partnership fueled by mutual respect and a shared vision for change. A voiceover accompanied the final scenes, reflecting thoughtfully on the profound impact of kindness and empathy. It reminded viewers that beneath every face lies a story worth understanding, and sometimes, all it takes is a moment of compassion to spark transformation. The narration urged everyone to look beyond appearances and seize opportunities to lift others up, emphasizing that genuine connection can break down barriers and rewrite futures. As the camera panned across the crowd, capturing hopeful smiles and supportive applause, the bond between Julian and Elena stood as a beacon of what's possible when people choose to believe in one another. Their story was no longer just theirs, it was a testament to the power of second chances, collaboration, and unwavering determination to make a difference. The final shot lingered on Elena and Julian, standing united against the backdrop of the event's success, their faces glowing with fulfillment and anticipation for the journey ahead. This was not an end, but a new beginning, one defined by purpose, resilience, and the courage to rewrite the future together. The story closed on a hopeful, inspiring note, proof that sometimes, the simplest acts of kindness hold the power to change lives forever. If you enjoyed the story, please ensure to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.